Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Saturn Return Diaries podcast. My name is Courtney. I am your host of this thing in your ears or that you're watching. I feel like I say something different every single time, and well, that's me. So there we go. But I'm super excited for this episode today. If you guys are on YouTube, hi, you can see us. If you're in the podcast places, don't forget to leave a rating and review because it really supports this whole, I guess, mission that I'm on of trying to, help people see what a Saturn return really is. And I was just talking to Brie before we press record, but just saying I think there's so much here for us to learn from every single person who's gone through this stage in their life. So that's the intention of this. So the more that we share it, the more that people get to learn. And that's just so great. But without further ado, I'm super excited to get into this episode. So hi, Brie. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm really good. How are you doing?
I'm great. Today's a really special day, actually, and the fact that I get to chat with Brie today. But for those of you who don't know what a solar return is, we're about to tell you because today is Brie's birthday.
Yay. Thank you.
And this is a cool podcast. It's not a regular podcast, is what I said on my stories before this, because when people come on, I pick a song for them before they come on to the podcast. And today it was 50 Cent, It's Your Birthday. So happy birthday.
I got the special treatment. It was awesome. It was so good. Okay, I have to, before we start, I meant to say this earlier, but it's pronounced BRI, and I'm only saying that now. No, don't be embarrassed. The reason I'm saying that is because this is my mother. I have to thank her for this. And because we met, well, I know we met before, but we've been chatting online. And some of the things I'm just like, oh, well, how do I let these things go so long? But I really
you need to tell me this. Okay. But this is so funny because this is what happens when you meet online.
Yeah.
Literally, how would you know? Right. Okay. So wait a second. We need to back up. So here I am thinking it's Brie, but your name is okay. Just tell us your full name.
Okay. It's Brianna. Brianna James is my name. Yeah. So my parents named me after a man named Brian, not just a random man, their friend, but it's just it's one of those really regular names, but just tweaked a bit. That's just been following me my whole life. So
oh my gosh, I love it. Brianna. That's actually a very beautiful name. It's got this elegance to it. It's so nice. I love
Thank you.
it. I'm glad that you corrected me because it's your birthday and no one having the wrong name on their birthday. And B, now we know, this is so important. So anyway, well, there we go. Brianna. It's so beautiful. Do you prefer Bri or Brianna?
I prefer Bri. I mean, it doesn't matter, but all my friends call me Bri. So
love it. Okay, well, amazing. Bri. I love it. All right, so let's get into this a little bit more. So we're going to get to the nitty gritty of your chart, your Saturn return. But before we do, I like to start with this question because I think it's really impactful and I'm challenging people to kind of think in this way. But I guess my question for you is, how would you describe who you are as a person?
Oof. Yeah, this is impactful because don't we always describe ourselves by what we do? I would say I'm just a really wholesome person who just wants everyone to feel good. I mean, I'm a mother. That's a big part of my identity now. I just have so much love for the world, and I feel like you do too. So I fully relate to you on that. But yeah, I just feel like a really just a regular person who just loves the world and wants the best for everyone is kind of, I guess, how I would describe myself.
I love that. That's I think it really says a lot about your energy too. And we can feel people's energy through the screens, even when we don't know how to pronounce their names. But I do think that that's a really good way of, describing parts of who you are. So I really love that. So beautiful. And so then what is it that you do in this world?
Oh gosh, another good question. I feel like the jobs of Brianna have like been all over the map. Now I would say that I support women in coming home to themselves in whatever capacity that means for them. So through energy healing, through group work. I support women, predominantly mothers right now, but to really tap into their intuition, understand who they are, and support them in kind of breaking down the barriers to, I guess, I don't, this is so funny. Yeah. Yeah. To sort of just be in the world as themselves away from kind of what we've been taught to be as women.
Yeah, it's such an important work, especially now. So I really love it. I love following along your journey and seeing what it is that you're offering. So yeah, really, really cool. So okay, let's dive in a bit more. These are the juicy questions that people love to know because I like to profile people by their astrology, obviously.
All right.
Yeah. So what is your sun moon rising?
Okay, Sun Virgo. I know
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
wrote this down because I was trying to prep for you.
I love it.
Uh, Moon is in Scorpio, and my rising is Libra.
Yes, yes, it
Yeah,
is.
did I get it right?
Yeah, you got it. You got it. I instantly was like, oh my God, you have your moon in Scorpio. Like, this is why we connect because it's about going deep. But love that you have that rising in Libra as well. And obviously it's your birthday, and we're recording this in Virgo season. So that's really, really big. What do you feel you relate to that of the things that you know about that, those energies of the signs, if anything?
Yeah. Okay. So I felt like as I got older that I related more to the Virgo thing. And I like when until now is really I didn't really know much about the moon and rising. So I really was like trying to fit myself into this Virgo box to figure out how, how to kind of explain myself through the lens of that. I do definitely relate to Virgo in the sense of like soft, peaceful, service based. I do relate to that. I've never related to like the organization of Virgo. That's always been like a no, that can't be me. But I do also relate to Scorpio now that I know a little bit more about it. Like I know that there's a lot of depth to the sign. I feel like there's like a mysterious quality to Scorpio that the older I get, the more feedback I get of like what's going on with you kind of thing. And then with Libra, yeah, like I feel like I'm pretty balanced, happy,
Mm,
looks on the brighter side kind of thing. But I don't admittedly know a whole bunch about either of those signs. So that's just kind of what I
yeah.
get from them so far.
Yeah, I love that so much. Libra is also very much so about like one-on-one partnerships. So I always say this with people, but like those who have businesses, if you have like predominant Libra in your chart, this is a really good thing to look at to say, oh, am I somebody who maybe works better in a group, like public speaking or one-on-one? Like Libra is very much about those intimate relationships. So
Cool. That's actually really enlightening for the thing. I was just thinking about, what's sort of next in my business today, and really interesting that that just came up. Thank you.
well, there you go. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you, Spirit, for that one.
yeah.
And so, okay, another thing. Do you know, I feel like you know this one, but what's your human design?
Oh, I'm a manifester, which I just found out. I guess it was last year's when I kind of started diving into that. But yeah, I'm a manifester.
Love that. I'm a manifesting generator, so I don't know that much about all of the other signs, but I do know a little bit about that one.
I think you have a lot of because so a manifesting generator has like the qualities of a generator and a manifester. And I think you have like the real creative start a new movement, initiate kind of thing as a manifester, but like the ability to actually do the work like a
Mm.
generator. I look at you and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm tired. Like she's just accomplishing and doing so much. And it is so incredible because learning my human design now just gave me it affirmed for me that it's okay to not be able to do that. I was like always striving to basically always be doing stuff. And it just burnt me right out.
Right. Yeah. So for manifestors, you need a little bit more time, right? To kind of gear up that energy to put it out. Is that right?
Yeah, so the manifestor is about like initiating. So like with all the five, so there's like, so a manifestor would say, here's the idea.
Mm-hmm.
And the manifesting generator would be like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to give you other ideas of how to do it as well. Like I'm going to streamline it for you. But you would like go and you would like put your own spin on it and make it better kind of thing. And then after I say this is the idea, like I got to go to bed. Like that took all my energy. That's how it
I'm
works.
taking a nap now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that so much. I love knowing these things about people. I feel like, it's not about labeling, but it is about understanding that we're energy beings. And obviously, this. And so the more that we understand our own energy and other people's, I feel like the better that we can start to relate and empathize with one another. And oh, Brie, you need to go take Bri. My whole life right now, like since I've known you, is like I need to change this.
No.
It's like, okay, so for example, we're talking about your energy, and I'm like, oh, well, like we're working together on a partnership, and I know that you have a Scorpio moon, I know that you're a Virgo, and I know that you're a Libra, and then I also know that you're a manifestor. So you're like, okay, here's my stuff, I'm done now. So in partnership, it's like, okay, I understand you better.
Yeah, I love like I think I've basically part of my whole journey is really trying to figure out myself, and sometimes like a bit too much. Like I know I haven't always left room to just like let it integrate and sort of be, but in doing that it's allowed me to just kind of like recognize like and be truthful about like where I'm at, instead of being like, oh no, I should be able to do this, I should have enough energy to do this, why don't I, and like getting low. At least now I know from an energy perspective that I'm not actually meant to. And then in a partnership or something like that, then I can be honest about that and upfront and be like, look, this is how it works for me, and this is, tell me how it works for you, and let's work best together to really kind of support each other the best that we can.
Yeah, that's such a good way of like putting all of that together. I love that so much. Yeah. And do you feel like we're going to get into the Saturn stuff, but I'm just like, I want to chat with you and ask you all these questions.
Let's do it. I'm here.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's something that you're like doing like more so in your life now, especially because it's like your birthday, as you said, you're getting older. Like, are you getting better at doing this?
Yeah, I mean, it's way more of a journey than I thought it was going to be. Like I was like, cool, now I understand how it works. So I've got it figured out. But the implementation of it, especially in a world that still kind of caters to us, like homogenizes us to be like all the exact same. I found it really challenging. But what I have been able to do, and I'm going to continue to do, is I do know that I need space in my life to be able to kind of just like I've always liked my alone time, but now I know like, okay, I actually really need that space. And sometimes that even means like sleeping in a different bed than my husband. And at first I'd be like, oh God, like we already, like, but now I can just take that and go, no, it's okay that I actually want that. That's a natural thing for me. And that doesn't mean anything beyond just like my energy needs space kind of thing. So yeah, I would say like, it's definitely a journey and it's taken a long time. And I know there's still lots more to go. But I have some tools now to kind of go, or at least like bring me back and be like, no, it's okay to feel that way. Like it's okay to do that.
Yeah, almost like the permission that we're able to give to ourselves when we know this is such a key of, and just the way that you describe that is so empowering. Like, oh, I should sleep in the same bed as my husband every single day, but like I actually want to just like sleep in another bed tonight. Like that's empowering. So I love that example. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
What's your husband's human design?
Oh, he's a manifesting generator, and he's so out of alignment. Like I'm like, I shouldn't say that, but like, this, like when you start to understand energy and understand like, energetics and the mechanics of how it all works, and you can look at someone and be like, without judgment, but just be like, you're out of alignment. Straight up, honey.
Straight up, honey.
Straight up. No, he's a manifesting generator. He's actually exactly the same as my daughter. They're both 2-4 manifesting generators.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I've been loving watching you post like stuff about human design for kids. It's like my fave.
I love it.
Yeah, it's so funny when you said that. I was like, I wonder if he's a manifesting generator because I feel like people need like space from sleeping in the same bed as manifesting generators.
Yes. Like, okay, but manifesting generators are amazing. Like you guys are literally so creative and like you you've got all of this energy and it's so inspiring to someone like me who literally has like barely any energy until I'm like ready to go with something. But
Mm.
to watch you guys just like go about your days and like find something that really interests you and like be so jazzed about it, I'm just like, that's so cool. Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
yeah.
beautiful. It is exhausting though.
It's very tiring. No, you just need to like, but then I just have to sleep in my own space and then we're good to
Yeah,
go.
you're like, just let me take a nap from you for a little bit. We're good. Yeah.
Yeah, I need a break. And but then
Oh
you
my
can be
God.
honest about it.
Yeah, I really love this. I feel like this is a really good segue into like, okay, so we've learned a little bit about you and your energy and, just I guess a little bit more about yourself. So I want to dive into your Saturn return. So this is
Do it.
so important, and when we're going through this and talking about how our Saturn relates to who we are and what we've been through, I think it's great to have background knowledge of who we are as people. So the reason why is because when we move into our Saturn return around the age of 28 to 30, this is such a big identity shift. And I love that you said at the beginning, like, or a little bit ago, you had mentioned that you started to feel like you became more Virgo the older that you got. And that is what happens as we move through our Saturn return. We take on more of our sun sign. So I really, really like that. And I just want to put a pin in that little comment. But take us back. If we could go back a little bit to like 27, 28, what was going on for you in your life then?
Oh my gosh, I feel like I get a little bit like butterfly thinking about it because my life is so different now. I was in a relationship. I had a business at the time. I thought this was the man I was going to marry. Like I had my life kind of laid out. But looking back, like I'm so glad that everything happened the way that it did. But like literally at 28, so I turned 28 in the September. In the November, like the early November of that same year, my relationship fell apart. I had nowhere to live. Like my business was failing. Like literally everything was crumbling down around me. And like it all came out of the blue for me. It was really like as if I was keeping myself in this like safe little bubble to be like, no, everything's fine, knowing probably that it wasn't fine. But yeah, like, yeah, so very quickly my relationship ended. I moved in with my sister for 3 months. Thank you, sister. Then I moved in with my mom. And then my business that I had that I was like forcing and trying to like make happen. It was like this event marketing business that just, it wasn't a passion of mine. It just kind of something that I fell into. And I was like, oh, well, I should make this work. Because I always grew up in a house that was like very hardworking, very much about like climb that corporate ladder, get your degree, like very traditional type of household. And so I was like, oh, I got to make this work. I got to make this work. I have this business. I got to make this work. And then I finally, in the March of that year, was like, I'm just not going to make this work. And if I do, I'm not going to survive it. Like, I'm just not good. I'm not well. I totally burnt out. So I stopped that business, which was a huge move for me. And then started, after I left that business, I then got a job in Vancouver, is where I was living, New West. And that's when my whole life just kind of started building into a different direction. But yeah, it was a really it's actually kind of hard to look back at now that I'm doing it right now, but it was a lot.
Yeah. A lot of people say that. I'm like, well, welcome. Courtney wants to be Oprah. So this is what happens.
You do a great job.
um, yeah, okay. I just like, I hope people are watching this on YouTube because I like watching your facial expressions of like how you're thinking of like going back and then, you know, kind of reliving or just thinking of how different your life is. Question for you. Did I meet you while you were in your Saturn return?
Yes,
Okay. I thought,
because I was newly pregnant. So we met at the breath work thing, right?
yeah, with Bree Melanson and was it almost 30 or no?
Yes, yeah, it
Okay.
was.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I had started following almost 30, and I guess because I totally resonated because theirs is all about, or
Yeah.
what, all about like their Saturn return too. And I remember, so I started like glomming onto this like spirituality, explain it to me, like who else can I relate to thing. But yeah, we met there, and I
Mhm.
was pregnant, like newly pregnant, and I was so unhappy looking back that I don't even remember the event. Like I don't remember it other than being there and like laying on the floor.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember walking in and like meeting you because we were standing in the like foyer thing at, I think it was I forgot what that place is called. It's not WeWork, but it's,
Work lab, I think.
yeah, Work Lab.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, like where we had the coats, like in that little
yeah,
room.
yeah.
Okay, yeah,
I
yeah.
remember it. Like I remember that so vividly. And then after that, I guess, yeah, I don't remember. I guess I just followed you on Instagram, but that's, I remember you being pregnant. So that's super interesting. So let's go back a little bit further. So you're living with your mom,
Mhm.
your business, oh, you left. Okay, hang on a second. You were living with your mom and then you still had your business at the time, or did you already move to Vancouver
I
after?
had moved to Vancouver. My business was just like I was doing everything online. So it was
Oh, okay.
I still had it, but it was like I knew that it was not gonna last. So I still had it. I moved in with my mom probably in I think February, March, and then April I started a new job. So I kind of like was like, oh, I failed out of entrepreneurship. I have to go get a job now. And I got a job that was like seemingly pretty good,
Mm.
like along the lines of what I wanted. And yeah, it's just so funny how looking back, like I again was like glomming onto things that were supposed to be right for me. And then they somehow fell out of my life as well. Like it's just bizarre.
Classic Saturn move. Classic Saturn. Literally Saturn's like, "Oh, you're not doing what you're Saturn right now. So you think this is going to be what you no, we're going to take it and remove it from your life." That's like,
So what's Saturn's job then? Is it supposed to just like move you to where you're supposed to be? Like, why does it attack us at that time?
it's a great question. Yeah, it's because you're basically your soul has a position that it wants to play, right? And so if we think about leading up to your 30s, like in that time frame, your 20s are about exploring. You're kind of living from a place of what you've been told to live
Mm.
from. Like you just said, like climb that corporate ladder. Like, you're still working off of the beliefs that you were inherited with, essentially. And your soul came here for a different reason, right? It came here to be itself. And Saturn is the biggest teacher. So where Saturn is in your chart tells us this is your work that you're here to do in this world, in a sense of like your what you're here to learn, what you're here to karmically reap. So the hard work that you're meant to put in is through Saturn. Now, yours is in the sign of Sagittarius in the third house. So it's interesting because it's also conjunct Uranus, and Uranus is this like rebellious planet that wants to like switch things up and do things differently. So both of those being together in the third house of Sagittarius, this is about like either our environment, some form of communication, messages, and Saturn being your structure. It's like something changed in regards to your structure that really like pivoted the way that your life went.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Saturn.
Wow. It's so crazy because now I'm just thinking, so before I turned 28, so the year I was 27, in that I again was, so I was still had my business, but it wasn't like as successful as I wanted it to be, like AKA I wasn't able to pay my bills.
Mhm.
So then I took a job, like a part-time marketing job, because I went to school for marketing and I was like, I'm a marketer. Anyway, I went and I worked for this nonprofit, and it was the first time in my life that I didn't get along with my colleagues. Like I didn't, just something was off. It was really, there was something really, they didn't understand me and I didn't understand them. Like it was just such a weird thing. And so I lasted there for 7 months. So just before my birthday, my 28th birthday. And I was like, I gotta go. And they were like, yes, you do. Like, it was just it was so weird. I've never had an experience like that. And I think that is what kind of set it off. Like I was already just like trying to fulfill something that wasn't supposed to be there for me. And it just fell out of my life. Like it was so interesting. And then, yeah, then my relationship ended. So crazy.
So it's just like a plethora of like endings, like domino effect.
Yeah. But to me, it seemed unexpected. Like I had always had experiences where, not that I was like always loved or anything, but like I'd never had an experience in a work environment where I just didn't feel supported and I didn't feel like I don't need to be understood, but I need to be at least like, respected as a human, or just like not like, yeah, valued. That's the word. Exactly. Valued. And that was the first experience that I didn't feel valued. And then after I left my business and started working for this other company, the same thing happened a year later there, where I had never had, like for some reason, the boss didn't like me and I didn't know why. And it just, I don't know if she didn't like me, but we didn't like something, we weren't meshing, something wasn't connecting. And I kind of prided myself on like connecting with people at the time. And so it was just so weird for me. Like, it was just so like, okay, universe, like, what are you doing now? And that job ended for me as well. Like, it was just so weird. It was a weird time in my life. Like, there was a lot of beauty, but there was a lot of change, a lot of change.
A lot of change. That's another good Saturn statement. Do you think so? Like looking back at that now, what do you think the lessons from the big old universe was in those situations?
I think I was always meant to do something on my own, and I think I wasn't brave enough to see that yet, but everything was pushing me back to like work-wise do something on my own. And I think the lesson was like trust yourself. I think at the end of the day, like that's the major theme of the lessons that I've received. And I think, like, I wonder, had I done that, like what my life would look like, because I'm still like, okay, you can trust yourself, it's okay. But I think the major theme would have been, trust yourself. Like, you don't have to take that job, like it doesn't feel right, so you don't have to just because you feel like you have to.
Yeah, that, I mean, even just when you're kind of describing that, of like these places, these work environments that you're putting yourself into, even though you had your business before and those weren't really feeling like, the way you desired to feel in those situations. I'm like, oh, interesting. I wonder if she thinks that like maybe she was supposed to be an entrepreneur this whole time.
Yeah.
It's a lot though. It is a lot. And there's been quite a few, like just in regards to like Saturn stuff, it's that lesson that you said of like having to trust yourself. Like being an entrepreneur is not easy. Like, and I know you know this, and a lot of people listening to this probably, I think now actually there's a lot of people who listen to this who are on the entrepreneurial path, but it's a process.
Yeah, it's just like, and it's a process for me. It was a real process in like just like trusting what I was feeling and what I was thinking, because like looking back, like I didn't want to take the jobs, but like and also money has always been like, I don't even know how to figure out money. Like 33 and I'm like, okay, money, energetically, what do we do here?
Yeah.
But I feel like I was always like chasing the safety of money, when it's so funny, like none of the jobs that I've ever had outside of entrepreneurial jobs have ever made me much money. Like I'm always like, maybe they were safe, but they were never lucrative, I guess. Like I was kind of barely making it by. And yeah, I would definitely feel like I've said this multiple times in conversations with friends and stuff, but I always feel like I was like pushed back towards like, just do something. You're meant to do something on your own. Um, and so now I'm at a stage in my life where I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Like I've made the decision now. Maybe not this is what I'm going to do, because I think that might morph and change a little bit. But in terms of I'm going to do this for myself. Like I've got something to offer instead of just workforce energy or work energy.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Do you think, okay, so what do you think that time in your life now is that reflecting into where you are right now? Like, tell us a little bit more about that bridge into, I guess, where you are now.
I think my daughter was probably the biggest bridge. I had her when I was 30. And then after I had her, I went to an energy healer. I went to have my first Reiki session. And she was like, your daughter has opened a portal. And I was like, yeah, she kind of has, hasn't she? And I feel like becoming a mother, I just I like laugh at my younger self, because I was always the one who was like, I don't want to be a mom. Like, I'm fine to be an aunt. I'm going to climb the corporate ladder. I'm going to work. Like I was going to be in PR, like in New York was my plan, without kids. And then I have this human, I birthed this human, and I'm just like, oh, I was so wrong. Like, so I think she really bridged, because I think even still there's more for me to discover and explore. I'm only now learning like how closed off I probably was when I was younger, like to try and be this type of person, which is funny because my family has always been really supportive and like open. Like I come from a very loving home, and very like, do what you want to do kind of thing. Like I'll support you in whatever. So to realize that I have been so closed off, but yeah, I think there's still more to explore, but I really feel like the bridge was her, because she's really brought me to this place to really value space in my life and value quality time and value the people that I love over my productivity, if that makes sense. So I would probably credit her to that, because without getting pregnant with her, I don't know if I would have moved back to the island. I don't know if I would be in a position where I would have had to leave that job. Well, they probably would have asked me to leave anyway. I don't know where I would be. And I think she was just such a catalyst. And I always say like the timing was so perfect. I couldn't have planned the timing better, for everything to kind of unfold and have her come into the world.
Wow, that's so amazing. There's a lot of like babies that come through Saturn return energy. And I think, as beautiful as having a baby is, or a child, it does change your structure, right? Like you said, you moved back home. Obviously, there's like different dynamics within relationship. And so I really like the way that you articulated that. I think that's a really cool way of showing that, there was challenges within that, obviously, for yourself, probably, but also that a little bridge into this life. Like, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, I don't think like sorry, I just want to say like I think what she gave me is the ability to just be like, okay, I don't have to work today. Like I had a whole year of just to like be her mother and to like experience life outside of work. I think I put so much value on job before that. And like that was my worth. And now she's given me like a different sense of worth. So now it's just like, okay, I can trust myself. I do get it. Like I can do this. So just to
Yeah, I love it. I think that's such a beautiful way of just like explaining all of this. And again, Saturn does this thing where in your Saturn return, where you're breaking away layers of all the things that right? And like you said, you were getting your value of yourself from the work that you were doing and like productivity and all this stuff. And the universe was like, no, like this new direction here for you is different,
yeah. See that way.
Love it. Question. I was thinking as you were saying this back to when you said you don't know if you would have left Vancouver unless you were pregnant. So I'm really curious because I feel like making decisions, this is personal, but like making decisions in Saturn return, like I find it really challenging because I'm like, look, I don't freaking know like what to do. So how was that? And how did you come to that decision, I guess?
That's really funny because when I got pregnant, my boyfriend and I, now husband, had been together for a year, and we were long distance. Like it was just like it was so random, but I was still in the point of being like, I don't know what I want from life. Like, I don't want to move for a man. Like, we were in the point of our relationship to be like, okay, where is this going? We're doing this long distance. Like, you're going to move here. He's in the military. So, like, he couldn't move to me. And part of me was like slighted at that fact. And I was like, I'm not going to move for a man. Like, I don't know what that ego was, but there was definitely some ego in there. And so then when I got pregnant, even then I was like, I knew that I would have to move. Like, I'm not just going to like pretend that I don't love this man and like raise this baby alone just because I didn't want to move to Victoria for a man. But still part of me, like, it was a really hard decision to make because I was in a point of my life where I was like, I don't want to be tied to something. Like, I want to make decisions for me. Not that I wanted to be single, but I just like, I felt a part of me felt like I don't want to have to do this. But then also part of me was like, oh, thank you for making the decision for me. Like it was a really confusing time in my life too. Like I didn't know what the right decision was. And I mean, part of it too, like my partner and I, we'd been together for a year, but long distance. So part of me was like, well, who knows? Like maybe this isn't going to work. But looking back, I think I knew, like, as hard as the decisions were to make, at least that one, I knew what direction to go. And I knew I wanted to be back on the island. Like I wasn't overly happy in Vancouver. It was like just me living in a crappy New West apartment. Like it wasn't that fulfilling. So I kind of was forced to make this decision, which looking back, like I'm glad that I was. But yeah, I remember being really confused and like annoyed at the time. Also, like, so you're going through this like major transition astrologically, and then you're like, well, what do I do with, like, I didn't know what to do being pregnant. And then, and then you have to make these big decisions. So yeah, I would just say, like, I look back now and go like, oh, okay, I already knew, like, I knew what felt best. I know that's probably not helpful.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like going through that transit and then plus being pregnant, that's like, whoa.
That wasn't that much.
Yeah, that's a lot to go through. Which is why we're talking about this, because I'm sure there's other people who they're like, oh my God, yeah, like I had that as well. Yeah, that's so wild. So this decision was kind of made for you. You knew that you wanted to, that it was the right thing to do. So what happened when you moved to the island? Like what?
Well, I moved in January. So I thought this whole time, so this job that I wasn't like thriving in by any means, I thought that I'd be able to, it was a sales job. So I was like, well, for a startup. So I was like, oh, I can do it from home, no problem. So I'll move to the island and I'll work from home until she's born. And then I'll do my mat leave and then I'll come back, like just keeping the regular, like, this is how we do life kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But in my moving situation, they were kind of like, we're both like, I don't want to be here. They're like, we don't really need you. Like you're moving. And it was just like this really polite, like exit, which was nice. Like it was lovely. It was exactly what both of us needed probably. And so I moved to Victoria in January. We moved in together into a house, and I tried feverishly to continue to work and make money. And like, whether I was like freelancing or doing marketing, like it was so weird. I had all of the, looking back, like they were all tests that I should have said no to, but I accepted them all and like worked throughout like feverishly until I had my baby. And even after I had her, actually, I worked. Like I worked, and like I had this marketing job on the side, which I'm like, why did I do that? Like I had the space, we had the means. Why was I trying to force something? Because like I thought that I needed more, like thought that I was, didn't want to just be a mom or whatever. So anyway, I had her in April, and I slowly started to just like let myself unravel a bit, and in a way of like just kind of let the layers kind of fall to the wayside. And then I realized like 6 months later, I mean, like, I don't want to work. I want to spend time with her. I want to enjoy this experience. I want to be here. And then that's when I started to really recognize for me the importance of space, because in the space and the quiet, instead of trying to busy myself, is where I really started to have these like eye-opening moments and like realizations, and be like, oh, I didn't know I wanted to do that. And it's when I did my Reiki certification because of you. You shared something about the luminaries, and I was like, I think this feels right.
Oh,
Um, so yeah, just kind of like it started to piece this like version of me together, which now feels a lot more comfortable.
yeah, it's been really cool to watch your journey. And like, obviously, I didn't know you were in your Saturn return when I like randomly met you that time. But now, like, even hearing you say this, it's really like your energy is just so grounded in a sense, and maybe it didn't feel like that before, but it almost feels like you've really done this like growth in yourself of like moving towards a direction that your soul actually wanted you to take.
Mm.
And obviously there's bumps in that, but it's just you just feel really grounded like when I'm talking to you. So I don't know if you feel that way, but
Oh, I thank you for saying that, because I sometimes I'm still like, I feel grounded, but am I grounded? Like maybe I'm a little bit not, maybe I'm not grounded. Like I question it a lot still. And so, but I do feel that there is there's still an unraveling happening, but it does feel more grounded.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're a Libra rising, so you're never gonna be like fully grounded.
I mean, that's good to know, because I'm like I still find myself striving to be like, oh, I got to be grounded all the time. But if Libra's not meant to, then okay,
No.
we're good.
You're just like this like beautiful, like the way I kind of like see your energy of your chart. This is kind of funny. Like especially the three that Sun Moon Rising is this like, and I always picture you in like fields, like just in like greenery. Maybe it's because your Instagram, I don't know, but like just this like girl like running through the fields, like very like grounded and solid on solid ground, but also just like feeling the wind through her hair.
I love the wind. You are the best. I feel like I don't know, like I know I've gotten readings and stuff from you before, and I feel like your readings have always been so like personalized and so like they really resonate with me. Like I would probably say more so than anything else. Like it's just I always feel so like seen with you, and I just appreciate it so much.
I'm waiting for you to get these. I like see this scene so vividly. I remember from one of the readings I did for you, and it's like these bags, like these tote bags, like have your company name on it or something. I don't know.
Court, so the last couple of months, nothing's happened yet, but like and you said something about like like jars and
Yes,
teas or
yeah.
something. Okay. So we've been talking, me and some of my family members have been talking about like opening a store. And I was like, we were talking about it, and I'm like, had this realization. I was like, oh my God, Court was right. I got to get some tote bags. It hasn't happened yet, but it's I don't know. It's in the ideation stage, but it made
Yeah.
me laugh because I was like, oh my God, Court saw this.
Okay, so this is so funny. I was like quickly looking at your chart before, but Jupiter is moving into Pisces in 2022, which is going to be moving through your fifth house, which is like essentially Jupiter's expansion and abundance, and moving over the fifth house of like creativity and like bringing through like it can be romance, but it can also be more of like the things that we like feel really good about. So when I see like fifth house stuff, it's like any creative projects really just go like, poof, especially with Jupiter moving over top of them. So maybe it's 2022.
Maybe it is because it was supposed to happen. And they're like, there's just been these roadblocks. And I'm like, okay, maybe now is not the time. So
Yeah.
how interesting. Okay, I'm gonna keep that in mind. Oh,
Yeah,
see, you see all the things.
I do. Yeah. I mean, fifth house also could be like um moving from fourth house to fifth house can be like babies and like family expansion as well. So
You know what? Okay, another thing. So you did this thing on Instagram, I think like in May or something, a couple of months ago, and you said like drop your information. I'll do like emojis for you.
oh yeah.
Emoji for the year. Okay, so I screen grabbed that because everything you put there, it included babies, it included growth and money and like teacher something. And I was like, okay, like this is where I want to move. I just didn't know how, but I have this screen grab and I look at it all the time and I'm like, babies.
Yeah. Well, okay. And actually, let's like just jump into this because I love what you're doing now. And I think this is such a great episode in regards to like the lead up from where you've been as this like corporate gonna climb the ladder and like I'm gonna go up here, which is there's nothing wrong with that, but you've shifted into this like very feminine energy but like very strong at the same time, and now I'm love watching what you're doing because I think it's so important for the times that we're in, and you know how I feel about the next generation. So it's like, anyway, I want to know first of all, what would you tell yourself
Mm.
if you could go back and tell her something? What would you say?
Stop trying to figure it out. And like,
That's a good one.
this is the hardest thing for me because like, and I think as humans too, like we need tangibility, we need to be able to explain things. And so like this is part of me like wanting to get women ideally back to their cores to be like, so that we can normalize like not knowing everything, because that has been such a struggle for me and continues to be a struggle. But like I'm always kind of like looking to like where like I can do better, how can I get there, why is this happening, what's going to happen next. And so I spent a lot of my Saturn return wrapped up in the not knowing and like trying to know. So like feverish, like, so this is where I was like, okay, I need to Google this and I need to get a reading and I want to, I want to know what's happening and why. And I wanted to figure it out. And I think in figuring it out, it kind of brought me to a place now where I'm like, I don't have to know everything. I still want to, but I don't have to. And I was just thinking this morning, like, I almost want to like go on a spirituality like cleanse and just like not even know anything because I just want to feel it now. And if I had told that to myself when I was in my Saturn return, I'd be like, F you, I'm going to Google. Like I would have been like, you're an idiot. So I would definitely just tell her and remind her constantly, like, you try not to get wrapped up in the knowing.
I love that so much. I think that's such a great reminder, and I'm gonna take that advice as well.
It's
like,
hard. Like,
I'm like, I just like want to know, but like also my Saturn return is in a pandemic, so I'm kind of like,
oh girl, you've got like a double whammy. What would you say has been your biggest like challenge so far? Because you just turned 30, right?
yeah. But that's actually a good, like what you just said about like this, like needing to know or like controlling is a big thing for me, like needing to control things. But from like the outside looking in, huge one, job change, like career, changing my career. But again, with that came this like control, like holding on to things longer than I should. Like, and I'm still holding on to things
Yeah.
that need to go. And I know this, right? It's like I think so that seems to be a theme of Saturn return as well.
Yeah. It's that those are the lessons too, because like without that, you can't look back and go, oh yeah, like I remember when I was doing that. Now I can see the shift and I can appreciate the change.
Yeah. Now you're just like in this like other place. It's so cool to see people on the other side of it. I mean, you're very fresh on the other side of it, right?
How
Um,
long do they last? Like I was going to ask you, can you have an extended Saturn return?
it depends. If you have your Saturn retro, if your Saturn is retrograde, and depending on a couple of the transits, when Saturn actually does go retrograde, it can last a little bit longer depending on the person's chart. But it's typically 2.5 years.
Okay.
So yeah, it could be a little bit less. It's totally dependent on the person, but typically 2.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a good chunk of time. But I guess that leads us into, so how has that time then set you up for what you're doing now and what you're offering the world?
What even am I offering the world? I am like, this is why I ask, because I'm like, I still like, I love what I'm doing, but I feel like I'm still really figuring myself out. Like, there's so much to learn, and I feel like that's part of life's journey too. But I would say, um, it's really led me to a softer place and a more feminine place, as you said before, and really kind of like allowing that, just allowing that has just like the softness in my life is what I didn't know was missing. Like I need softness, and where I thought like I didn't want softness. Like I said, like I didn't think I wanted kids, and like now I have one, and I'm like, I can't imagine not. Like it's just so interesting to go like to look back, yeah, and go, who was I? Like I don't even think I let myself know who I was. And I feel like I'm now on this journey of just me being me and allowing that to be the offering into the world.
I love it. That is what I want, that to be a poster for every, like literally like on your tote bags.
Yes.
Like just being me, like that should be what is taught to all these little beings who are coming into this world,
Mhm.
is just being yourself. And that does come with learning who you are as a person. But it also comes with obviously the lessons and also the letting go and all of this murky fun stuff that we go through. And so yeah, I mean, as an outsider looking into your life on the socials, I'm like, I'm so excited to see what it is that you grow into from this, and the women that you help, and also the babies, because I feel like this is a huge piece of your work. So, is there anything that you want to like? Do you have any offerings or anything that you want to share with us?
Yeah, I mean my main offering. So I'm a Reiki master, and I work predominantly with mothers and pregnancy because it's literally the most fulfilling thing in the world. And my vision for humanity is to support women and really seeing and understanding themselves, because motherhood is a whole other journey that you just can't prepare for. Nobody can tell you about it, and it's like this transformation. And so my goal is to really help women like feel good in their bodies and feel like trust themselves, trust their voice, trust their inner knowing, and trust their motherly urges. Because I feel like when women are supported in that way, then they can create the space to raise their children in a safe, inclusive, emotionally secure environment. Not always. I'm just saying like my
Yeah.
vision for the world. And then that just like trickles into humanity, and really it just comes back to coming home to ourselves and just being like, this is this is okay, this is safe, this is me. um so my main offering is Reiki sessions and programs for women and mothers and those in pregnancy. And then I've also started working a little bit with human design, because I think when we can understand our energy and just like know a little bit about how it works, it really can give us the because we're all different and every chart is different. Just like I know you love this about astrology too, and I just like so easy to geek out.
Yeah.
But I, again, like when we can understand each other and just understand that everything's just energy, like nothing's ever personal, it's just energy. And like it's okay for things to look different than we think they should, because everybody's energy is different. So yeah, I'm playing around with some human design and some offerings prints there. I just launched those yesterday, and then hopefully able to do some readings down the line, but I'm not quite there yet. But Yeah.
Yeah, I am just like, even just watching you light up, like this whole mission and vision that you have, like, I'm just like, okay, can we all just take a second and look around? I bet you know quite a few people who are pregnant right now and or who just had a child, okay? The boom happened. The
Oh
pandemic
yeah.
babies are here, okay?
Babies.
And
I'm your girl.
yeah. You should just tagline that. Pan,
Okay, I think I might.
the pandemic doula.
Okay, Court, I have I haven't tapped into that yet. Pandemic doula. I'm gonna take that.
There is a shortage of birth workers nowadays. So we need more of them because there's so many babies coming. And I just think that this is so important. And I love that human design. And I know I said I actually have this idea. I'm going to reach out to you after, send you a voice note because it's still manifesting generator in my brain right now, but I'm excited about it. And I think that there's so much to offer parents and babies and children and the next gen. So you're doing amazing work. And I'm so freaking grateful that you did your Saturn so that you're here right now. Like helping the planet. Like it's just
And
so great.
I gotta tell you, like, I'm just so honored to be here. And like, this is like, I manifested this, okay?
Tell us.
Because I said to myself, this is probably in July, and I was like, I want to be on a podcast. And then I was like, I want to be on Courtney's podcast. Just like, no, I just thank you for, seeing the value in what I do. And I always feel so seen and supported by you. And I'm just friggin' stoked to be here. I love what you're doing. Like,
Aw.
I think that we need more more support during our major transitions. And because otherwise we're just kind of flying blind and feeling like we're the only ones going through it. So I love what you're doing.
Another great Saturn term, flying blind. It's good. Oh, I so appreciate you. And I'm really, really like seriously, like that just makes me like so happy. You manifested this, you're here, we made it happen, which is so
Yeah.
exciting. Where can people find you if they want to
Oh, I mean, I used to have a website, but I just disabled that because I'm percolating on what that's going to be. So honestly, right now, just find me on Instagram at Reiki with BRI, and that is probably the best way to reach me. And you can DM me there, and you can also find like all my services there as well through the link in my bio. But pretty simple at the moment. But you can find me there.
Love it. Simplicity is great. And I will link everything below. So if you're on YouTube or on the podcast places, then all the links will be in the show notes or the description bar. So they will be there too. Thank you so much. Happy birthday. Happy solar return. We're cheersing you with water.
Hey, cheers, girl.
Oh my God, look at our mason jars. We're so cool.
You're so cool.
Anyway, all right, we're gonna finish it off there today. If you guys like this episode, definitely give it a rating, review, like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. Come say hey on Instagram at Saturn Return Diaries or at Reiki with Bri. And we will see you. I will see you. Yes, I will see you in the next episode.